Greetings, my sisters and brothers, Dr. Joseph Martin. Metatron, great source, love, light being. This is a very special topic for me and for all of us. Metatron rules the universe and all the higher dimensions and realities, and of course, this solar system and planet Earth. Although there are many other ascended and descended masters, some in the physical flesh, Metatron himself actually is the overarching individual. He's a great being who lives in Source, and he understands and sees all, knows all, awesomely wise, and exceedingly loving, and incredibly perceptive and observant about the most minute details of anyone and everything going on in the cosmos of the billions of galaxies. Now, if we just bring it down to a very small historical period of the Earth tradition within the last 10,000 years or so, it's said in the Rabbinic texts in the Jewish tradition that Metatron was Enoch. Once Enoch was taken, as you know, he did not die. He was taken by God up into the light and there became an angel. Well, that is a certain possibility. Enoch, by the way, was a great prophet. He was the son of Jared, and he was the father of Methuselah, who was a very long-living person into the 900 years, and the great-grandfather of Noah, and you know that story from our great collective life story of the flood. More of that on another time. Nevertheless, I'd like to suggest that Metatron is so much more than any of our historical religious texts suggest. Even the mystical texts, and there are some Kabbalistic early texts, and there are some other rabbinical texts, and there are apocryphal texts in the Jewish and the Christian traditions, and there are also, you can read the books of Enoch, in particular the second book of Enoch, which you can find online. Metatron is said to be the second highest spiritual being in the universe, the cosmos, next to the Creator. And that he, she, most we call him a he, sits at the right-hand side of God, and he's the only angel that's allowed to sit. Now, in parts because of his high stature as a being of impeccable integrity and honesty, but also perhaps because he's known as the Cosmic Scribe, and he writes the book of life. And so I guess it's easier to write when you're sitting down. In any case, there's a lot we can say about Metatron, and I'd like to just share a few things with you here now. Metatron is such an incomprehensibly unique singularity and in a way complex because he absorbs all of the universe, and therefore he is in a way the model of all sacred geometry, both in the third dimension here, which we'll get to in just a moment, and also in the fourth dimension, fifth, sixth, seventh, and all the higher dimensions up into the infinite realms of dimensions and realities. For instance, the 5 Platonic Solids, we call them, all derive from Metatron's Cube. And what is Metatron's Cube? Well, here are two images of Metatron's Cube in a two-dimensional color form. As you can see, there's one for you, Metatron Cube. And here's another version of the Metatron Cube there. Now, it's important to realize that the 5 Platonic Solids, which are the star tetrahedron, or the Star of David tetrahedron, the hexahedron, the, what else do we have here? Now, there's a few. I want to get them in the right order here. The octahedron, which is the 8-sided one, up from the hexahedron, which is 6-sided, the dodecahedron, which is 10-sided, and the icosahedron, which is the higher sided one as well. And some of you may know the flower of life and all the great teachings brought to earth by an embodied master, Drunvalo Melchizedek. And the flower of life actually emanates from the sacred geometry inherent in the Metatron Cube. This Metatron Cube by no means embodies all of the great light and love and power, sacred source power of Metatron. It simply is what we can bring into the third dimensional reality in terms of geometry and solids and energies. Now, it is said in some of the ancient mystical texts, particularly in Kabbalistic texts, that there are two kinds of Metatrons. There's a six-lettered Metatron, which is the divine countenance of Source, and there is also a seven-lettered Metatron, which is the divine presence of Source, the primordial Metatron inherent in the earth realm. Both of these are true and accurate. It's just different ways of looking at two sides of the same thing. It really comes down to language, numerology, and epistemology as well. Now, we're going to take this a little bit further in our discussion because the six-lettered Metatron could refer to the third eye, the sixth chakra, and that is the divine presence within the person, the soul, the energy bodies. And as you know, the seventh chakra up here could be the divine presence, primordial connection to Source. We have the pituitary gland and the pineal gland as the sixth and seventh chakras as well. This shows you the reality of the sacred knowledge, what we say, that as outside, so inside, as above, so below, as with Source, so with the infinite soul in the physical form. All these are realities to Metatron, and there's a great experience awaiting you when you start to ask for support and guidance from Metatron directly, as I have throughout my entire life, starting when I was a baby, and all through my preteen years and my teen years when I studied these ancient books as a scholar, and the books of Enoch and the Apocryphal texts and some of the Kabbalistic and mystical texts. All of these do have some references to Metatron. However, my greatest experiences have been surrendering and listening to Metatron. So much so that by the time I was in my 30s and 40s, I was asked by Metatron to give weekend workshops with him and those students of mine who were training as psychological, spiritual analysts and people who want to perfect their own karmic clearing. So Metatron is an amazing, amazing spiritual source master. One needs to consider him as being directly linked to the source, to the creator, him, herself, in the very center of the cosmos of all that is. Well beyond our solar system, well beyond our Milky Way galaxy, throughout all galaxies and time, and therefore important to realize as we evolve back into a new age of light, the Aquarian age, a time when more higher cosmic consciousness is coming through our little pea brains and our minds to open up to this, that Metatron is way beyond the Judaic, Christian, or any other religious tradition here on the planet. Very important to just be open to that possibility as you get to know Metatron. All love and blessings to you. Dr. Joseph Martin here. Metatron is here to magnificently bless you and give you all the miracles, the daily miracles, and the magic of higher knowledge, higher wisdom, higher love, higher empowerment, and higher opening of the heart. For the sacred geometry of Metatron is not only in the sixth and seventh chakras, it's primarily in the opening of the sacred heart, in the sacred geometry of the source, which is pure love and pure truth. All love and blessings.